2015 Committee of the Whole. I guess on the agenda, approval of the agenda. Anybody have anything to add to the agenda?
I did want, for information purposes, add an item about the recent funding announcement for, I believe it's Canada 150 or Infrastructure 150. Canada 150 Community Infrastructure Program. It was a recent announcement of funding that I would just want to inform council.
Okay.
And let you know what we're up to.
And where do you want to put it on the agenda? Under
6C is fine.
6C?
Yeah.
So you say it's infrastructure?
Canada 150 Community Infrastructure Program.
Canada 150 Infrastructure Program. Okay, thank you. Any other additions to the agenda? No? Okay. Move to approve. Moved by Councillor Mew, seconded by Councillor Murphy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Conflict of interest declarations. Any conflict of interest on any of the items on the agenda? Having heard none, we'll move on to, I guess we don't have a presentation. Business arising from the minutes. Anything from business arising from the minutes? Guess we don't have any minutes. Yeah. And yeah, also, I guess, forgot to mention regrets. We have regrets from Councillor Nicole Albright and Councillor Richard Donaldson. Thank you, Warden Dontremont, for reminding me. Okay, other business and for decision. 5A is the bylaw review phase 2. We have an attachment. And speaking to CA Muse earlier on, he indicated it might be Chris that was going to take this one. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Warden Dontremont. On the agenda, I attached the second phase of our bylaw review. And just before we even get into it, this is only for your information at this point because we only do first readings at regular council meetings. So next, in June, we'll hopefully be able to read these for the first time. But I just wanted to put them on the agenda and give you an idea of what the changes were and what was part of our second phase. So we repealed the bylaws that were very outdated or that we didn't want anymore in the first phase. And this second phase, we're looking at the high priority bylaws, the ones that we felt needed either amendments or to be repealed fairly quickly. So the first one is the interpretation bylaw. And if you look on the attachment, you'll see highlighted in yellow all of the amendments that were made. There are quite a few, and the amendments were modeled after AMA's model bylaw of interpretation. So more or less, it highlights the definitions that are used in a number of the bylaws of the municipality, and it also gives, I guess, clarification or explanations about the bylaws. So it talks about numbers and the genders that are used, etc. The second one is annual payment of council. That was in the list of phase 2. That one there you won't see it in the package because that we're looking to repeal it and create 2 separate policies. So once we get into the policy amendments, we'll deal with that one later on. The building bylaw, that was amended by the Department of Public Works Property Inspection. That is modeled according to all of the new regulations and national and provincial building codes. I'm not as versed in that as maybe John would be, so if you would have any questions, I could take them and ask him. But I know that they did a lot of work with the new building codes that are out there because the last bylaw was dated 1987, so it was fairly old, the last one. The next bylaw is the penalties bylaw. That bylaw, we changed the title to enforcement and penalties, which is modeled after the AMA model bylaw. So it talks, in addition to just the penalties, it also talks about how we will enforce the penalties of each of the bylaws. So it's more of a general enforcement and penalty bylaw. Most bylaws have specific information in each bylaw regarding the enforcement and penalties. But if there was a bylaw that didn't have that information, this bylaw would get into effect. And the last one is the tax exemptions bylaw. So in February, we approved the new list of charitable organizations that are a part of this bylaw, but we had some amendments to make to the actual bylaw, and they are highlighted in yellow. So we indicated that on a yearly basis, we'll be reviewing that list, and we don't have to amend the bylaw. We can just make a motion to amend the list. And finally, when that list would take effect, so that we added some information around when that status would take effect. So those were the minor changes in that bylaw. So like I said, this is just for information at this point. We'll bring it back in June, but I'm happy to answer any questions. The bylaws were vetted through the municipal solicitor as well. And he did provide some comments on some of them.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Any comments? Nope. All right. I guess we'll move on to 5B, which is Canada Legacy 2017 Initiative. And I think that one is CAO Muse, please.
Thank you. This one here also, Warden D'Entremont was received a lot of communication around this over the past weeks. This is a request for the municipality to join an intermunicipal agreement, and so this was created, or I guess initiated, out of the valley. So the municipality, the county of Annapolis, and the town, I think, were contacted initially around the opportunities that exist around the Canada 150. Now, this is not the same Canada 150 fund that I had added as information. This is actually this is a cultural and heritage celebration. So it's very specific to, you know, celebrating Canada in a certain way. So this came out from, I think, MP Kerr had really spearheaded, was quite interested in this potential project to see what could the region create in a project that would attract a lot of funding from the federal government into this region, but would represent a broad region, Southwest Nova. So the project is in a competitive state. So there's a lot of the details that we can't share necessarily right now. But we can say that it's a project that they're looking to obtain significant federal and provincial funding to support a series of vignettes or documentary style to showcase the creation or existence of Canada and how it started here. So there's a lot of, as you can well imagine, that speaks to a lot of cultures and communities in this region, including the Autochthone, First Nations, the Loyalists, Black Loyalists into Shelburne, and the Acadian and planter cultures, et cetera, et cetera. And so there is a huge story that could be told, multiple stories, in fact. So that's the plan. So to see that to come to reality, what is required is partnership, and the request has come rather quickly to our attention. There were whispers that something was going to happen, but then it became an intermunicipal agreement, became that discussion very quickly. So what happened was the initial partnership was created by Annapolis, and then it extended into Digby, then it extended. So it was, can we make it bigger? Can we make it more inclusive? So and here we are, right? So I can speak. I did send you an email that I can't really speak publicly on regarding the budget, because again, I repeat, it is a competitive process, and they didn't want a lot of details to be public at this time until the application is actually submitted. However, I would suggest that you know the number, and it is actually a very modest investment that is being envisioned at this point. municipally. So I've also handed to you pros and cons of signing the agreement. Quite frankly, there's always risk when you sign a multiple party agreement, but at the same time, you know, the reward in this case could be a very substantial project that could affect the entire region. And if you accept to sign on, then you become you know, one of the authors of the process, right? You become part of the organization, versus if you don't, then you're on the outside looking in. And so you may not have as good of an opportunity to influence the progress in a way that might represent Argyle. Okay, so we included the intermunicipal agreement. It has been vetted by legal, not our legal. And what you'll see is well, you really have two choices. You either, or at least the way I saw it, you either improve the intention to sign. You don't have to approve the agreement, but to make a motion that you intend to sign the agreement would be appropriate, if that's in your interest. And to designate two councillors. Now, the designation is actually one voting councillor and one alternate. So that's not specified in the motion. It's one person and then an alternate, okay? And then, of course, your alternative is to just simply decline the involvement in the intermunicipal agreement. From what I understand today, Digby County, both Digbys, Annapolis, both Annapolises, Annapoli, Bridgetown, Kings, have agreed to sign. Clare has declined signature. The town of Yarmouth and the municipality of Yarmouth are deliberating, considering that tomorrow. And so you're here considering it today. So just want to give you an idea of who had been asked and who accepted. So you have three that are undecided, which includes us, one negative and the rest positive.
Okay, Councillor Muse.
Is this the same funding that there, like I heard about this Canada 150? Is that the same funding or special funding for just this type of organization, like municipalities, or because I know you can apply through, like, any organization can apply. So would an application like this go in the same pot as all these applications, or is this special funding for this type of program with municipalities? Or do you know?
This funding stream is called Canada 150 Signature Initiatives, and federal departments, agencies, provincial and territorial governments aren't eligible, which is why they're creating a society. So
Okay.
we're not eligible. The Canada 150 Infrastructure Fund, which we'll
That's
be
the one
talking
I-
about later on, is eligible.
Okay,
with
well, that's the
municipal
one you were
governments.
gonna talk
Yeah,
about.
so we'll-
Okay, yeah,
right.
because I know.
So there's
I've-
two different streams.
I've spoken already to a COA
Mhm.
on that Canada 150 for infrastructure. Okay, yeah, so,
That's different.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's different. And I know you were saying on your email as well, traveling costs. Like, where would these meetings be held?
They would be, that's not decided. I mean, they would be sporadic. I would assume that the proper thing would be that, you know, you'd have some sort of Skype or video conferencing opportunity.
Okay.
But I can't be sure. We don't know how many times that we would be asked to meet even.
As well.
Right, so I would, you know, not unlike these types of projects, you might meet a lot at the beginning to get some decisions made at the front end. I think they're envisioning that there will be somebody hired to lead this initiative, and I do know that they have engaged the assistance. I don't know if there was any compensation for that. I don't think there was, but some assistance from provincial experts in this field. So I know that there were some people involved provincially in establishing, you know, what does this look like? What do you need to know, et cetera. So
Right.
eventually, they will require somebody to lead it and probably be paid. So,
Okay, yeah,
so this corporation would be responsible for that.
right.
I was thinking probably also if, you know, if the municipality of of Yarmouth decides to go for it, and the town, we could travel together, you know, whoever.
As well,
If you're
exactly.
going to Bridgetown, or if you're going to Digby, or
Yes, and it's only in
The-
this
the
end of the
minister-
province, it's out west,
from Kings to
From-
Charlesville.
okay, yeah.
The minister responsible for this was in, at the center in Deep Brook, Cornwallis.
Yes.
A while ago, we were invited out there. I did go to a supper meeting or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she was there, and she was really, really in favor of this and pushing
Right.
for the area, because there's another jurisdiction that's claiming that they were the first, that Champlain went there first, but it wasn't, it's not, it was here, so, or in the valley or whatever.
Well, I think it's a good idea myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for
But it's-
sure,
it's-
there's no doubt.
For what they expect us to pay, and the total project is
Exactly.
very good, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Surratt.
Do you know, oh, here I go. My voice is gone. Let me try again here. Is it gonna be bilingual? Thank you, sorry about that.
Don't give him a candy, Junior.
Is it bilingual?
That's a fantastic question. We don't have the answer to that, but I would suggest that you could influence that decision if you were part of it. I guess that would be my only
Question
comment.
was what?
It would be
Bilingual.
bilingual. I mean, I would be shocked if it wasn't,
Exactly.
quite personally.
Exactly.
See, you know, and it may be trilingual, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about, you know, Mi'kmaq Nation as well. I mean, so really, I would think as part of the planning that would be a consideration, yes, yeah. It's a good question. We don't really know, but we'd be shocked if it wasn't, actually.
Thank you.
How come they only have part of the municipalities here in this?
In the agreement, I think once they get a motion, they
yeah.
add
Oh, I
they
know.
add the party.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Right, but until then, they didn't add the name. Like, so our name isn't in the agreement. It's because we haven't made a motion.
Town of Yarmouth is there.
Yeah, good. That's an interesting observation. That must be a boo-boo.
And Claire is there.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
So
Anyway,
there are two
I'm
boo-boos.
just wondering why they're, yeah.
I'm sure, I
Anyway,
mean,
that's not a problem.
those changes will have to be made
oh, yeah.
before
Yeah.
being signed, right? They'll know all of that. You know, the organizing committee has had a lot, they've tried to herd all of us in a very short period of time,
Yeah.
so I'm not surprised at those little
I know.
things.
All right. Any more comments or questions?
Messieurs.
I guess we have a decision to make. Oh, Councillor LeBlanc.
Yeah, I just want to voice quickly, I think it's a great idea. Definitely, if there's a municipality that stops it, I don't think it should be us. We're quite culturally rich here in the municipality of Argyle, given our history and stuff, and the fact that, I think we pointed out, some of the Champlain landed here firstly. I'll make the motion. Oh wait, has the motion been? No.
Yeah,
sorry.
move, yeah.
Yeah, I'll move that we sign the Canada Legacy 2017 Society Intermunicipal Agreement, and I guess we also have to designate 2 councillors if that's motion's passed.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Do we vote on the motion first and then pick the,
Yeah, maybe do
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
motions.
yeah, okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've all heard the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Okay, next one. Do we pick 2 now or later?
Entirely up to you, sir.
Yeah.
Do we
Well,
know when the
Signing's gonna be Friday.
Okay, but do they actually want the board members picked by Friday?
Yes, I believe they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, that.
Sorry, that was, sorry, that piece, I don't know why it didn't
Yeah.
register the first time
Yeah,
you asked.
Okay, okay, yeah, all right.
And do we know when the commitment these representatives will have? Personally, I'm interested, but if it's you know, kind of like the other fishermen here, if it's during a high fishing season time, maybe I should steer away then. There's no way of knowing then.
I'm sure that they won't have a specific time
No.
where they're meeting or not meeting.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
Okay, so as chairman, I guess I'll ask if there's anybody that's interested in sitting on this, I guess, is it a board or a committee, or
Well,
It's a board.
it's a board?
I'm interested.
All right.
If somebody wants to take another board off.
So you're interested in being the board member, and then the other person would be an alternate?
Correct.
Alternate? Okay.
That award be accepted by this committee or by this council.
That's it.
Represent on that board.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Now, to find an alternate, anybody interested in pinch hitting for the warden when he's not available?
I can be an alternate.
Okay.
I move.
Moved by Councilor Surratt.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilor LeBlanc, I guess, that Councilor Danny Muse be alternate on the board for the Canada Legacy 2017. You've heard the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Thank you. Right, move on to 5C, and that's the Yarmouth International Airport Corporation request for funding deferral. You have a 4-page attachment, and that one is also CAO Muse, who will explain the numbers for us.
This is very simply a request from the Airport Corporation. You recall you paid a portion of the 150,000 capital funding for specific things. Yes, you did. And so most of that had been, so about 100 out of the 140, or 104 out of the 147 or whatever was spent. So what he is asking, what the airport manager is asking, is that he's asking permission to defer the amount into the new year. And this request is simply an accounting exercise. You've already made the commitment. It's not new money. It's cutting off the money at the end of March and then bringing the difference into the new year. It's required for accounting purposes. That's why he's written the letter, essentially. We've gotten advice from our auditors. And so, I mean, it's not new money. We just recommend that you accept that.
Okay.
Motion, by motion.
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc?
I move that we defer our portion of the 46,668.10, being, I guess, $14,985 of our capital funds dispersed in 2015 to the Yarmouth International Airport Corporation.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Okay, thank you. Move on to number 6, correspondence and information. First one is a letter from Knights of Columbus, and I guess that's the Knights of Columbus that are, just so I'm correct, that have a place in, is that Hundred so? Is that correct? Okay. So they just sent us a letter. Dear friends, the Municipality Council of Argyle, dear friends, our Council of Knights of Columbus is highly appreciative of the heartfelt support accorded to it in its ambitions to improve our communities. In our midwinter food bank collection, the overwhelming reality of having it published by our Supreme Office in the Columbia Monthly magazine throughout Canada, US, South America, Europe, wherever Knights are found is staggering. Thank you for the satisfaction of knowing you are there. May the pluralism in our ideals continue to improve life in our communities, and that's sincerely Brian E. LeBlanc, Grand Knight. So, it's a letter of appreciation from the Knights of Columbus. So. Okay. Anything to add, CAMUs?
Just the last page is a picture of this.
Oh,
It's
the
difficult to
the
see, right?
collection.
But that's in an international magazine.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
that
that's
is-
Yeah, it's hard to see the way that we
I get
scanned
the
it there, but
magazine every month. yeah.
Uh-huh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, all right. Move on to 6B, 2015 Pan Atlantic Aquaculture Mission to Europe. And I think was sent to our warden, is that correct?
Yeah.
And I guess maybe, Mr. Warden, you can tell us all about it?
Yeah, I received a call Friday. They're asking if I was interested in going to Ireland and Norway on a week's mission. It's by the Atlantic Canada Fish Farmers Association that's organizing this with support from the provincial government, and most expenses are paid, lodging, traveling. The only thing she said that you may have to pay is a few meals. A lot of them would be paid in registration, but there's only a few meals. I think there's about 40 people going from Atlantic Canada, Newfoundland, PEI, New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. I think they said there was about, it's either 4 or 5 municipal elected officials from Nova Scotia, and I happen to be one of them. So I'm very interested, and I've applied. They sent me a form. I filled it out and I sent it in. This will happen in May.
August, isn't it?
In August, I mean, yeah, May, yeah. So I think it's worthwhile. I think it came about because CAO Alain and I met with the Fisheries and Aquaculture Minister last winter. We had a good meeting with him, and I know one of the ladies that was there with the minister is going on this trip, and maybe the Minister Caldwell also, I'm not sure. But there's a whole bunch of people going. Said one day in Norway we'll probably be on the water all day, you know, and going fish processing plants and look at the whole. They're about number one in aquaculture, I guess, in those two countries. Yeah, and it's very interesting. Looking forward to that mission. It's going to be a lot of traveling, she said. It's not going to be all fun, but it's going to be a lot of work. But it's good.
I think the fact that the municipality has identified aquaculture as a potential, business
yeah.
for our municipality, I think it probably bodes well that the warden, who's the representative of the municipality, since he was personally invited, and as far as, cost to the municipality, it seems like it wouldn't be a very big cost, so, so.
Could be a couple
I think-
$100 or something,
Yeah,
maybe.
so
I don't know.
probably a good idea, so. So what do we need? Do we need an actual motion, or?
Well, from a financial perspective, there's absolutely no need
Yeah,
to do a motion.
Because we
But,
already have the policies and the,
yeah, I mean, the cost is gonna be minimal.
yeah.
As long as you know, and that you approve that I
Yeah,
be there to represent
yeah.
council. And
So from council's perspective, I think it would be important for, from a motion's perspective, to decide whether or not you want to pass a motion to support your warden to go on this trip. That would, I think, be an
Make it
appropriate.
official.
It would be,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
not that it's costing us directly any money, but I think the idea would be to, if you're willing, to support that particular trip, right?
Yeah.
I think that's probably appropriate. If,
Yeah.
to approve or, well, whatever you want to do, but I think a motion's appropriate.
No, I'm certainly in favor of making that motion for sure, that will support Warden Dartmouth to attend this mission.
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor, and it's been moved by Councillor Muse and seconded by Councillor Book. Any questions? No? All right. All right, you've heard the motion. All those in favor?
I,
Contrary? Carried. All right.
Sounds very interesting.
All right, and 6C, Canada 150 Infrastructure Program. And that one's yours, CA Muse.
So there's no attachment. I'll just give you an update on the funding itself. So the infrastructure program supports projects to rehabilitate existing community facilities across Canada. The program is part of the Government of Canada's celebration of our country's 150th anniversary of Confederation, and it will be in effect until March 31st, 2018. So, it talks about what projects qualify. First of all, we do qualify as an applicant. So the municipality is a qualifying applicant. And the total allocation for Atlantic Canada is 16.6 million. So that's for all of Atlantic Canada. And they can fund up to a maximum of 50% of total eligible project costs. Preference may be given to projects that only require 1/3 funding from the program. Well, that would be probably less projects than more that would require only 1/3.
Yeah.
1 million per project is the cap. So there are requirements, and the projects that qualify include community and cultural centers, and this is to rehabilitate existing community facilities. So it has to exist, okay? Legions, museums, parks, libraries, recreational facilities, tourism facilities, docks, cenotaphs, and other existing community infrastructure assets that have a local community impact, such as wastewater, drinking water, local roads, connectivity and broadband, local airports, solid waste management.
Local airports?
Yeah. Now that might be interesting.
Yeah.
So what we did, we looked first at our capital investment plan very quickly because this has just been announced. Our initial thoughts as staff is that the track and field is one that exists that could be rehabilitated. So this one is a good candidate. That particular project is a good candidate for this project. The airport is less known because we don't know exactly. First of all, $1 million limit is for some of the larger projects might be problematic, but 50-cent dollars for some of the equipment rehabilitation might be interesting. I'd have to get a little bit more information on the airport side. I don't have a lot there. We did look at the other priorities, like the ones that we know are high on the priority list, like wastewater, for example, and others. Again, it has to rehabilitate existing community facilities, so that eliminates some of our projects, like and admin buildings aren't listed here either. So you start taking your list of priorities and you start ticking them off. There's not too many left, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing that we're conscious of is the fact that, some of the projects, before I go into that, some of the projects that have already begun aren't eligible. So the work that we're doing on tennis courts isn't eligible. The work that we're doing on our ball fields is not eligible. We're already into that. So essentially, it leaves us with quite a short list. So we've tasked staff to kind of take a look at which ones actually fit. We are focusing right now stronger on track and field than anything else because we feel immediately that one fits the best. But we will do a full assessment for council because what we want to take the money and we want to use it for our projects, but we want to also take into account our capital investment plan that identifies our priorities, and we also want to measure that against our probability of success because while we've established priorities for these projects, we haven't measured them against this particular fund, okay? So the priority of these projects might be different when you start applying a different lens, okay? And we've always said that we set our priorities until the money comes and then the priorities change, right? Because you're influenced by where the money's coming from.
That's right.
So we do have a meeting this Friday with staff to try to establish what that looks like. I'm also very conscious of the fact that when ACOA had funding for recreation facilities before, the council wasn't fussy about only 50-cent funding on that particular project. So if you recall, you made a different decision. You went with the trails, which was a project that was required in the Argyle, East Pumlico area, trail rehabilitation. We decided to get 50-cent dollars for that because we had other partners. So I think a key part of the success on this is to find other partners. And so we're also in contact with the municipalities our neighboring municipalities to determine whether or not they will be applying. And so if we can get out quick, we want to go to them and say, look, you know, this is the project that we are identifying that is, you know, very shovel-ready. And, you know, if you don't have a shovel-ready project, we would surely appreciate, you know, your moral and fiscal support in a regional asset such as the track and field.
Yeah.
So the project for the track and field, just to remind you, is to take the dirt and make it not dirt. And make it an artificial turf of some sort.
Yes.
For the longevity of the asset. And also, we want to be looking at, you know, attracting other events in the region. So there's tourism opportunities there, there's recreation tourism, and then there's recreation opportunities generally. Right now, Panaba is used as the regional area for track and field, but it has issues, it has its limitations because of the crusher dust and infiltration of grass, et cetera. So we're always keeping an eye on that one, and this one looks like it fits. So we'll keep you posted. So what you should expect from us is a report that says, here's what the funding looks like, here's our conversation with the COA, here's our capital investment plan, here are the projects that we think fit, and here are the places we're gonna go look for other money. Okay? Does that make sense?
Straightforward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean the other projects don't fall off the table, obviously it doesn't, you know, we have to continue, it's basically, we have to keep going with those, but this one provides an opportunity that I don't think we should let linger. Yeah, so that's just, from our staff's perspective, that's what we're looking at. If you have any questions or concerns, I would love to hear them.
Okay, Councillor Muse.
Like I said earlier, I was in contact with, we knew that this was coming, and I was in contact with, is Mike Como from COA. And what he said was that to get your applications in ASAP.
Exactly.
However, he said, the funds are not going to be dispersed on a first-come, first-served type of system. He figures what they're going to do is take a bunch of applications, because they've only got so much money, and then they're going to weigh which one is best suited for this program. Because according to him, what he told me was that a lot of the projects that you're going to do, if there is something there that relates to the 2017 150th anniversary of Canada, that they may bear more weight in who gets these funds, because that's exactly what this is about. It's you know, Canada's going to be 150 in 2017, but he didn't think that by sending in a request now, that you would hear very soon whether or not you are accepted or not. Now, that could be wrong. I'm not sure. This is, I was talking to him, I just got an email from him, as a matter of fact, today, based on what you said there. But I was talking to him, and he said nothing has been officially announced yet, but he said this is what he envisioned as it being. That if you could put, if you had, let's say, a community center or something that you wanted to do renovations to, that if it was going to be done because you're going to have some celebrations in 2017, that you might have a better chance of getting some of those funds. So, but he says it's not necessary, but they could hold more weight in who gets them or not. So, but it's.
We'll have to have a competition
Yeah.
in track and field.
Yes, anything, you know, like you said, he said just any kind of an activity or something that would relate to the celebration in that year, so.
Is there, for 217, is there an event that,
Well, I mean, there are some annual events that we could tie in, but I mean, it would be a little loose in terms of like, it would be a loose knot,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, it is certainly one of the four things that they're gonna measure.
Yeah.
One is linkages to Canada 150, as Councillor Muse suggests. The other is project readiness.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
The extent to which other funding is leveraged, so if we can get our partners quickly, that might be important. And then also it says the capacity to be completed by March 31st, 2018, but preference may be given to projects with completion date of fall 2017.
Yes.
So they want to be in the position to announce funding, I suspect.
It is, and I figure the
Before
election.
October this year.
Yeah, October of this year is a very important day, I think, you know,
Yeah.
leading up to October, the October election. I
Yeah.
mean, definitely, so. Yeah.
So once the writ is dropped, that's it, but if they've
That's
made
it.
an announcement
Before,
then
yes.
that amount is committed.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's right.
So,
It'll have to be by August,
yeah, that's the,
when they drop the rate,
Yes.
right?
yeah. but it-
Is it August or
Or
September?
September.
September, I think. I think
Sometime
it's
in
only,
September.
it's only 30, well, provincial is 31 days, but,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, just wanted to
Yeah.
give that information that I got from speaking with Alcoa myself, so, yeah.
Okay,
All right.
perfect.
Well, thank you, Councillor Muse. That was some good information, and I guess maybe we'll have to get on the ball and do our homework and see if we can access some funds from this fund, so.
If it's available, then let's
Yeah.
try to get our share.
That's right.
We can get whatever we can get.
Okay. Anything else on that, CA Muse?
No, I was just reviewing the capital investment plan again, and really, it's the only two that are on this list would be the track and field and the airport, because we do have airport retrofit on our list. So if I'm gonna go with my capital investment plan that you approved, you know, those are the two projects should be focusing on. And then so I think the next step is, okay, what's the probability that one will be more successful than the other, right? That's about it.
And there's always, we could lead one, and our partners could lead the other.
That's true.
And then we can, I guess, leverage
Yeah.
our money together, maybe.
Well, I mean, the advantage of the airport project, if there's one that fits the criteria, is that you'd have built-in partnership,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, the airport, I believe, could make an application. I believe it's qualified because it's a municipal corporation. So I believe it could apply directly.
Yeah. Okay. Great. We don't have any financial requests. Anybody have a notice of motion? No? Okay. Question period. I don't think there's anybody in the gallery. So I guess we'll go in camera.
Move or go in camera.
Move we go in camera? Okay, move seconded. All those in favor?
Right.